Everybody, here it's me again, and on the verge of another storm, I guess, but this is the cable Easel for the time being, with the phones open to take calls, and we'll see if we can talk about things, art or winter or whatever. And it's 348-6800, the number, and this is going to be a live performance and rendering of a scene which is probably the most interesting and maybe amazing scene that I think I've ever witnessed here in Setauket, probably because of this amazing weather pattern. When I got to East Setauket Harbor this morning, I discovered an event taking place which probably hasn't taken place in maybe 100 years. It is called ice clamming. And as you can see on your monitor, there are people walking around on the surface of Setauket Harbor, which is the reason that this crew of one went out with me and walked on the ice and set up the camera to get this shot. During the course of the evening, which is Tuesday, January the 25th, as it says right on your monitor, we're going to do a study in this particular scene, which is rather nice because of that boat in the foreground, that boat that is locked in ice. I can just sort of feel the presence of that family. The wife says, "Did you bring the boat in, honey?" And he'll say, "No, I guess I'll do that tomorrow." And the next thing you know, it's all frozen solid until April. Recriminations being what they are, I'm sure that household has had plenty of them. But anyway, there's a perfectly good boat with a very expensive motor stuck in the ice. But beyond it, you will see those figures, ice clamming. Also, in that sort of flotsam and jetsam that you see on the ice just at their feet are the tools of their trade, which we found out about today. And it's wonderful when you are curious enough to go and ask people questions. And the questions, of course, were multiple from me because I don't talk to people, I interview them. And found out from John, that's the fellow in the yellow boots and the plaid shirt. John, professional clammer, talked to me at length after they came off the ice about what they do there. But as I'm talking to you about it, let me just lay this out. Most of this painting, or this scene, is in the foreground. The horizon line is quite high up, and therefore I'm going to just stick it on a little sort of higher than center, and give you because all Long Island horizons are the same. They're all flat. We have a flat landscape here. Well, the reason that I'm living in the mountains now is because I decided to go and find out what was beyond the flatness. Behind me is a painting of the Blue Ridge Mountains that I brought up just so that you can see where I'm at. And as I'm talking to you, I'm laying out this distant scene. This is a 14 by 18 piece of canvas board. So this scene that maybe measures, well, maybe a couple of thousand feet across and maybe many, many thousands of feet deep is going to be concentrated on a very small area of 14 by 18 inches. Here is the landmass over there, and I'll render that pretty soon. And the rest of it is this wondrous and amazing 8-inch ice that has hit Port Jefferson Harbor in this 100-year storm. I understand that it probably is a feeling among the people who remember or who make it their business to know these things that this kind of an ice storm, this kind of freeze, has not taken place in 100 years here on Long Island. As I'm talking to you about it, I'm going to sketch this boat, which of course is one of the more difficult things to do is to do the drawing of a rowboat. It is a technological nightmare to get the perspective of a boat in this position and to try and make it look like it's like a violin. Two of the most difficult things to draw are a boat in three-quarter view and a violin in any view. I can take it from me, I've tried them both. So here we have maybe the beginning of a decently drawn boat locked in the ice, and as part of this composition, which is the device of the diagonal that leads the eye right into the picture. Here is, this is the way you begin the composition of a painting. The fact that the subject that I'm looking at is extremely fascinating and very, very interesting, and I'm hoping as interesting to you as it was to me, which this scene was taken this morning, well, at about 11 o'clock. And those people, John and Mike and Jason and who else was there? David, I believe. They were all out there. They're professional clammers, living, of course, on the island. And what they were doing out there this morning was waiting for the tide to go out. Now, if I were going to be waiting for the tide to go out, I would probably go and sit by a fire someplace and drink some hot chocolate. But they were not. They were out there on the ice at 7:30 this morning, sawing holes in the surface of this 8-inch covering of ice on the harbor and pursuing a rather ancient way of earning a living, of clamming in the dead of winter. One of the reasons they do this is because they can get more money for the clams that they get at this time, because it's a bloody awfully difficult thing to do, and they are, anything that is rare and hard to get at brings more money. The men were out there from 7:30. The fellow on the left, whom you see in some of these close-ups, that is standing there with his hands in his pockets, his name is Mike. He had a cotton shirt on, and I guarantee you it was not more than 25 degrees out there this morning, and he seemed perfectly happy. His nose was a little red, and he was sniffling a little bit, but he was perfectly happy in a cotton shirt, and I reprimanded him as a woman old enough to be his mother, saying that he had no sense and no feeling being out there on the ice with only a cotton shirt on. Anyway, we had a couple of laughs. And I asked him many questions. One of the questions was, is this worth it to you to come out and do this? And he said, well, I made about $80 since 7:30 this morning. He thought that was okay, because he was going to go to the South Shore, to the bay, and do the same thing over again for most of the rest of the day. He has 3 children. He supports 3 children and a wife and a house and a mortgage and a car and a boat and you name it, on this business of going out there and doing this extraordinary, really 18th century pastime. I mean, you cannot tell me that with a rake with a 20-foot-long handle and stuck into a hole that he has cut in the ice with a saw and a pickaxe is anything more than an 18th or 17th century endeavor. Well, I'm in a 19th century endeavor, putting paint on canvas, so I guess we're both in the same ice boat, as it were. 348-6800 is the phone number in case you want to talk to me and ask me about anything at all, I suppose. If I'm able to answer you, I shall. Here is the approximate position of where these figures are going to be. They're going to be rather small, but they're going to be placed approximately here. Before they get put on, I'm going to be putting in the background to receive these little figures, and here's the position that these people assume when they are doing this this wonderful, absolutely astonishing endeavor out there. Okay, so it is an extremely simple composition. You can't possibly get any more simple than that. You've got a horizon line, a little bit of landmass, and you've got this wonderful motif in the front. A phone call. Good. Let me take the call. Hello there. Tell me who you are, please.
Hi, this is Jim from West Islip.
Yes, Jim.
I'm just curious with the horizon. I can obviously see that, but how do you use the color of the ice? Like, does the ice darken as it gets toward the horizon, or does it lighten as it gets toward the horizon?
Well, if you look very closely at the monitor here, it appears to be lighter at the horizon. It becomes progressively darker as it gets towards you. Are you seeing the monitor as I'm seeing it?
Yeah, much better now, actually.
Ah, so it's better tuned in now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh, good. Well, the optical illusion is that the ice is a little bit paler as it's way off there in the distance, and it becomes progressively darker as it gets toward you. I don't know why. Oh. I know that I walked on it, and it was not that color. It was sort of a deep aqua brown color.
Right. So you're going to be adding that lighter color as time goes on, right?
Oh, sure. I haven't even started to paint. All I'm doing is to lay it out and talk to you about the scene.
Okay, well, thank you for your help.
Thanks for calling.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. See, the phone calls are really essential because I got to know what people are doing out there. And also I know they're watching. That's really one of the best parts. I'm not at least just in here in the studio talking to myself and the three members of the camera crew. By the way, the camera crew, the young cameraman that came out today, was subjected to one of these wonderfully spontaneous selections of a scene. Mike Fagan is all game, all heart, and all courage because I met him at 12 o'clock today, and the next thing you know, he was slipping his way across the ice with a camera in tow, setting up the tripod and the camera to take this wonderfully strange and exotic scene. And then I asked him if he would possibly be mind going into the picture because he had some different colored trousers on than the other fellows out there. The other fellows are in dark clothes, and he had some pale ones on, and because I'm so visually oriented, I said, if you were to go out there, we'd get a difference in color of trousers. So he dutifully skipped across the ice, or slid across the ice, towards the group of ice clammers. And in a very short period of time, you'll see the cameraman of this show. Well, I believe he's over there with the pale trousers on. So my hat's off to the above and beyond the call of duty. Of course, I was out on the ice too, somewhat petrified, because I didn't trust 8 inches of ice, which is what it was. And there were no skaters. There were no people taking photographs internal photographs of people doing figures 8 and so on this pond. There was nobody but the clammers. And I thought to myself, gee, ice skating is really in, but what we're doing is ice slipping. As I'm talking to you, I am applying with a palette knife the color of this gray and somber and I think snow-laden sky, which began to be apparent this morning as early as 9 o'clock. There was a slight break early today, but then the clouds came in and it was obvious that there was going to be no sun, and therefore a monochromatic composition. This is really monochrome. There's only very few colors. Another call. Good. Hello there. Tell me who you are, please. Hello?
Patricia?
Yes.
An old friend from Setauket.
Tell me.
How are you?
Who is it?
Steve Johnson.
Steve!
David sends his regards as well.
Well, I was hoping to see your face this morning when I was in the bank, but I didn't.
I see a painting behind you that's finished that I've never seen before.
This one over here?
Oh, yeah.
That's where I'm living now, Steve.
It looks very interesting.
Yes, it's wonderful. If you'd get your little old derriere down to Virginia, well, I could show you there.
But what is it? Is it a...
It's a mountain. It's the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Very pretty.
Yes, and it's done with a palette knife, all palette knife.
Do you still have the painting of Whitehall Beach that has a haze on it?
Oh, yes.
You do?
Oh, no, I sold that.
You did?
Yes, I did.
Long gone.
Sorry.
Yeah, I like
Missed
that.
your chance, Steve. Steve is a friend of mine from way back, an old-time resident, not so old. He's just been there a long time, since he was a child.
Well, I don't know about not so old.
How you doing, Steve?
Pretty well, thank you.
Are you painting at all?
A bit.
Good?
A bit.
Well, and you finally got cable out there where you live.
Yeah, and David and I watch every Tuesday night.
Well, I'm glad to hear that there is a certain great amount of loyalty among ancient friends, and we all go back a good time.
Well, I like the new work very much.
Thank you.
Very, very nice.
Well, the next time I come up, which is at the end of next month, I will give you a ring and invite you to come down to the studio.
Excellent.
Would you do that?
Yes.
Good.
Okay.
Thanks for calling, Steve.
Good night.
My best to you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, well, you know, Steve paints with great fervor, great passion. He's been doing it for a very, very long time, and the best part about it, and it's everybody's business to know these things, and you may as well know about it. Steve is extraordinarily willing to listen and to learn all the time. He never has all the answers. He's always finding something new that he didn't know before and admits it willingly and readily, and then goes on and tries to implement what he has just found out. So that's a remarkable quality, and I'm really glad that you got to hear him, and that you got to know that there are people like that living around here. He goes back. He goes back. He was almost born here, I believe. So anyway, so much for Steve and David. The ice people. It is something that you probably can catch yourself any of these mornings while there is this great cover of ice on Setauket Harbor, because there are clams to be had down there. Great big quahogs. I mean, big guys. And from what I was told this morning, the reason that they are clamming and getting them now is because the pollution warnings about no clamming allowed because of the pollution takes place in the summertime. In the wintertime, apparently the pollution problems are either non-existent or so much less that they can clam legally. Yes, another call. Good. Hello there. Give me your name, please.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, this is John. You
John?
me this morning, yeah.
Hey, John.
How you doing?
Fine. This is Old Home Week.
Excuse me?
Old Home Week.
Oh, yeah.
What's on your mind, John?
I was just really interested in watching what you painted, and it's coming out really good.
Well, it's only the beginning. Hopefully we won't goof it up. What else is happening?
Nothing much.
Okay.
So, did you enjoy this morning, or?
Oh, yes, it was amazing. It was an experience that I've never had before. And have you been out on the ice across Setauket Harbor ever?
Yeah, I've been last year.
Really?
Then we had to get to the boats and stuff, so I had to drag a boat out, a little dinghy.
You mean you walked on the ice last year?
Yeah, last year. It froze up, but it was pretty weak. It wasn't as thick as it was this year.
This year it's 8 inches.
Yeah, last year it was only about 3 or 4, maybe 5, but we dragged the dinghy out.
But isn't it amazing?
Oh, yeah, it is. It is amazing. It's very strong. The guy Dave, way over to the right.
Yes?
He was raking in the cracked ice where a lobster boat had drove through and cracked all the ice.
Really?
And he was just like on the side. And it was just amazing because as he was raking, the ice was going down more into the water. And I was standing right next to him, and he wasn't afraid of nothing because he'd been out there for years, even on the South Shore.
God.
So right after this, we went over to Port Jackson. We did some steamers, and it wasn't quahogs. It was steamers, the soft shell clams.
Yes.
And we worked until 5:30.
Well, my hat's off to you. The fellow that wasn't wearing a shirt, that was Mike, wasn't it?
No, that's me. That's John. I'm the guy who's wearing a shirt.
John, have you gotten any better sense since this morning?
No, actually, I'm drinking my herb tea right now.
You'd better, man. My motherly instincts almost made me take my coat off and put it on you. You crazy thing. There you are, standing there with your back to me and your blue jeans and that red cotton shirt.
Yeah, I know, but
it's all right. You're a grown man.
Pretty used to it.
You can do what you want. I'm so glad you called me, John.
Okay, I just wanted to say hello.
Well, I'm glad you called, and if you play your cards right, you might ask if you can have a tape of this show.
Yeah, I will.
Why don't you do that? You don't get anything unless you ask for it. Maybe the station will give you a tape of this show.
Actually, we're taping this show right now.
Great. Well, then you don't need to bug the station.
Excuse me?
You don't need to bug the station about it.
Oh. Okay.
Well, good. Take care of yourself, and I'm glad I saw you this morning.
Okay.
Glad you called.
Don't mess up my painting.
No, John, I promise.
Okay, bye-bye.
Is this fun or what?
Yeah,
bye-bye. Now, see that, there's, I don't care. You can talk about other programs, but there's no program that's quite as much fun as that one, that I'm speaking to see, electronically, this is really something of a miracle. Electronically, can you imagine, I am looking at a monitor of the footage of a young man who calls me on the phone, and we talk to each other. I mean, that's pretty good. You say what you will, all the million-dollar productions of shows can't really top that one. A sweet fellow, and you'll probably find him anytime you want to out there on the ice doing that. And they did go off and do some more clamming somewhere else for a day. They told me they were going down to Port Jefferson Harbor. So anyway, here is the very beginning of a scene which is now available for you to look at whenever you decide to get down to Setauket Harbor and take this all in. Okay, the monitor is showing me a close-up of some ice, some snow on obviously a private property with a great big expensive house right there on the harbor, big gray job. I don't know who belongs to that. If there's anybody with a TV who knows who belongs to that house, they can call me up and we can really get some information going here. But here's the snow formation on that private property over there, and a sort of only a vague suggestion of that gray house. I'll just put just the very slightest idea that there is a house back there someplace. That house probably cost $500,000, and all I'm giving it is a little tiny dab with my brush. But maybe we'll put a window in for $600,000. We'll put the window in sometime. Anyway, this is the preparation for working towards the foreground to get those figures in. If I don't get to it the time before I know it will be gone, I will not have gotten my clammers in, and then John will be forever on my back for having messed up his painting. So here we go. Here is the way you begin and try to prepare for this kind of a figure painting. I'm going to do the palette knife speedy technique of mixing up a whole bunch of ice color on this canvas and covering the canvas really fast so that I can have a preparation for the figure painting and the boat. If I don't finish it in this hour tonight, I will finish it and then show it to you the next time I come up, because it's too good a scene to miss. And besides that, I'll have to deal with John if I don't finish it properly. So here we have. Here I'm going to squeeze this MG quick drawing white on the canvas here, put a slight touch of cerulean blue, just a little dab of Van Dyke brown, and see if I can get this nondescript color that the ice is. And it's going to cover the entire, you see it's just off-white. And as the man earlier pointed out to me, that the ice in the distance is paler, or I pointed it out to him, he asked me about it and we had to talk about it, that the ice way off in the distance appears to be paler in color than it is in the foreground. So with that information right there on the monitor, and the fact that I have a nice pale color all mixed up here, shows you that I can cover the entire canvas very quickly, and that's what you have to do. And when I was out on the ice this morning monitoring this kind of a scene, I can't say that I was as confident as the clammers were. I was a little bit apprehensive about falling down, breaking my leg, and finding myself in need of never getting home again until spring. So home again being Virginia, which is the painting behind me of the Blue Ridge Mountains. Here is a very quick, and now I'm going to add a little bit of color, a little bit more brown, a little touch of cerulean blue to make this somewhat darker in the foreground, as we all agreed it appears to be. And it's all extremely subtle. The application of paint is done rapidly, but because I've been painting for almost 100 years, I seem to be able to do it rather quickly. And my observational powers are sort of attuned to the changes in color. Now what I'm going to do is to smooth this out with a larger brush so that I can get a nice definitely well-blended surface here, because the texture of the ice in itself is quite smooth, and therefore I'm going to carry that through with the texture on the painting. I like to be able to give a lot of very heavy texture when I'm doing things like trees and mountains and rocks and so on, but when I'm dealing with something as smooth and as flat as ice, I like to sort of keep that as a theme going through with the texture of the paint. Oh, yes, good. Another call. Hello there. Tell me your name. Hello. Are you there? Is anybody there? Oh, we lost them. Maybe they'll come back. When that boat got frozen in the ice, you'll notice, oh, look at that. I hope that that's on the monitor. Is that on the monitor, that close-up of those tools? The tools that you have that are being shown on the ice are the pickaxe and the saw and that plastic bucket in which the other tools are, and a grate in which you flop the clams. I asked Mike, I believe, how much one of those 20-foot-long clamming rakes cost. I said, $100, and he said, closer to $2. So you have here the clammers equipment with a sizable investment going for around $200. That handle that you see them using is about 20 feet long. It goes down below the surface of the water, and it finds its way into the mud, and then with enough pulling and tugging and manipulating this great basket, they managed to bring up clams, great big quahogs, which some people call chowder clams. Another call? Good. Hello there.
Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, this is Lorraine.
Yes, Lorraine.
I'm standing here watching your show, and I'm a big fan of yours. What I want to know is, how do you mix those colors so well? I've been trying to, and I just can't do it for the life of me.
Well, how old are you?
I'm 17. So I'm kind of at, the beginning.
Yeah, I understand that. Sweetie, the only reason that I can appear to do it and you appear to having problems is because I've been doing it for longer than you've been alive. And it is a question of trial and error. I cannot give you a simple answer as to how to do it, because you have to do it. It's training under fire. You have to do it yourself, and the more you do it, the more you find out how.
Oh, so it's kind of like luck, huh?
No, it's not luck. It's trial and error and observation. It is continuously trying and understanding what the colors will do for you as you mix them. Oh, it is not luck at all, and it certainly isn't by accident. It's all extremely purposeful. So if you love to paint and you love the color and you love to fool with it, just keep doing it, and you will eventually find out just exactly. I'm sure that you know what your cosmetic jar has in it and what colors you to use to get the effect you want. Mm-hmm. And so it's the same thing here. You will find out how to use those colors the way you want to, all with time. I hate to say that and make it sound like you've got Yes, that's boring for young people to be told by older people. Oh, you'll do it in time. But with practice, you certainly will.
Okay, great.
I'm glad you called me.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, would that I had a quick and wondrous answer about this kind of thing, but there is no wondrous answer. It's all got to do with trial and error and observation. I'm observing right now that this boat that is stuck in the ice is casting a shadow, but not a reflection. Ice does not cast a reflection because it's not smooth enough on the surface. It's not glassy enough. It only casts its own shadow. So anyway, but let me get to these figures here, if I possibly can, and I'll get to that boat towards the end of the program, but I really have to get to those figures and see if I can give you some feeling of how to interpret the figures without making an anatomical study. There is a certain stance that takes place, and I'm going to do it with a small brush. All I need really is the suggestion of this figure doing this. If I see that the head is bent over, the body is slightly bent over, this hand is going onto one part of the well, now that's a back view of him. Okay, maybe I can do a back view of this fellow. He has this yeah, all right. The back view is that he's hunched over. He has a sort of a reddish jacket on, and then he has the little legs, perfectly straight little legs down below. They're not even casting shadows because there's no sun out. So they are, and there's that enormous pole. It's 20 feet long, and there is a big basket on the end of it that gets pushed into the ice, which is probably right here. You don't really see the opening to the ice, but that's probably where it is. And he pushes it and pulls and pushes it, and it. And they pull it up, and then a whole mess of clams get dumped onto the ice. As you can see, these dark areas here are clams that have been pulled up from the bottom and dumped out of the basket. Let's get a little pile of mud and clams that has been dumped here next to him. You pull them up, and here's the little hole in the ice that a little hole is a sizable hole that he cut with the saw and the axe. Here's another little row of things. Now we've got our young friend John, who called me up, the great hero of the day, that stands there in his blue jeans and his cotton shirt in bitter cold weather with his hands in his pockets just watching. I don't know why he didn't participate, but I think he had already earlier in the day. They were out here at 7:30 this morning doing this activity. And as you heard him say, they went on to Port Jefferson Harbor shortly thereafter and did some more. As I said to them, I hope that the local fish markets will pay you $100 a bushel at least for the amount of effort that it took to get them onto the surface of the harbor. In the summertime, when you see them clamming, oh, that's no big deal because it's fun. Another call. Okay. Hello there. Tell me who you are, please.
Hello, Pat.
Yes.
This is Ron.
Yes, Ron.
I'm down in Oakdale.
Yes.
Back in the fall, you painted an island off of Shore Drive.
I did indeed.
Well, I live on the back side of that island.
Oh.
And it's much prettier from the other side.
Oh.
I'd like to invite you down to paint that island and the surrounding marshlands from my backyard if you'd like.
Well, that's very kind. Would you do me a favor, please, Ron? Would you write down your name and your address and how I get there, and then I can and send it to the station here?
Sure.
And then I'd be able to follow without getting lost.
Yeah, it'd be beautiful in the spring.
Good.
Okay.
Well, we're always looking for places, especially when they're nice and far away like that, because Channel 1 has only just now come into our purview.
Well, this way you can get two sides of the picture.
Yes, indeed. Ron, do that for me, would you?
Will do.
Good.
Bye.
Wonderful. I'm sure glad you called me. Now, you see, the figures are important, but they have to remain in proportion. I would love to be able to show them larger than they are, but I'm seeing them way off in the distance here, and I'm just giving you some sort of an idea of what they look like and what it was to see those three figures out there on the ice. From such a faraway distance. The cameraman, Mike Fagan, is over there on the left side talking to, I believe that was probably David. But anyway, these people were really a different breed. I must say that to think that living among us, these people, unassuming, hardworking, and think absolutely nothing of this extraordinary thing that they do with their lives. As I say, it is no big deal to do it in the summertime. It's rather fun to stand out of there on a boat and clam in the Great South Bay. But it's quite another one to be out in the harbor on a gray and wintry day with the winds whipping around and pursuing your livelihood in this manner. I may be wrong and I may be over-romanticizing it, but I don't think I am. I think that I'm seeing it as rationally as I can, and I'm in great admiration of these people and the fact that a tradition probably as old as this harbor is taking place right there in front of me this morning. William Sidney Mount painted this harbor in the wintertime and in the summertime, and I will bet you anything that when he was doing that back in the 1850s, there were some people out there doing the self-same thing as was happening this morning. So once again, my desire to live here and then in both time spaces is all evident today. I'm going to take a very short break now, so don't go too far away. Time to get a Coke or something in the kitchen. I'll be right back. Yes, well, here we are once again, going to halfway mark, and maybe not really accomplish as much as I'd like to have, but you know, phone calls are better than paintings, and contact with the people is more fun than anything. So here we go. the boat that is in the foreground is a nightmare. Anybody in their right minds does not do a boat in three-quarter view, and much less live on television, with the possibility of making a momentous mistake and making it look absolutely god-awful. However, I've been taking these chances for a powerfully long time, and I think everybody's on my side anyway, and I've made mistakes, and we've had a big laugh over it. The one was when I was painting the barn once, and somebody called up and said, there are 5 windows in that barn, not 4, and we really had a laugh over that. So, as I was talking about, somebody left that expensive motor out there. I wonder if that was Steve. It's possible that it was Steve, because he sometimes does those things. But if it was, don't call me and tell me. Anyway, when the men came off the ice, I kind of buttonholed them and interviewed them, and Mike, or the other fellow in the plaid shirt, sort of laughed to a slight embarrassment when I said, "You're a professional clammer." The word "professional" sort of seemed to worry him a little bit, or to amuse him, and but he admitted that he earned his living as a clammer. He has 3 children. He lives, I believe, on the East End somewhere, or maybe just south of here, and he just it's all perfectly normal behavior to him to do this. And this is the only way you can get the clams. So for me to say that it's a vanishing breed of people is probably inaccurate, because we see every time we go to a restaurant, we see the menu has got clams on the menu, and they come from somewhere. And I asked him, where do you sell these clams? He said, just about any fish store on Long Island has them, but there are also outlets here and there, the name of which I don't recall now, but they know where to go with their stuff, and they do this on a daily basis, winter or summer. So our resources, and it's always extremely sad for me when I see the signs up at West Meadow saying no clamming allowed because pollution of the waters. That is really something that we have got to pay enormous amount of attention to, because if you pollute your water, you've polluted your planet, and not just the water but the clams. They can't take it, and neither can we. The trouble is that we're a little bit more resilient. The clams suffer and then they die out, and we have to pay attention to that. So if we ever possibly can, yes, oh good, another call. Hello there, tell me who you are.
Hi, Pat.
Yes.
This is Ed.
Yes, Ed.
I'd like your opinion on the correct, or possibly correct, viewing distance, for an oil painting. I've heard 6 foot away from the painting.
You mean as I'm painting it?
No.
The setup?
Painting. Yes.
Well, did you say you're John? No.
Ed.
Ed, I'm sorry, Ed.
I heard at least 6 foot away.
Well,
because
for what
oil paintings seem to be more appreciated the further away you are, but I guess, there must be a maximum distance and a minimum.
Well, for what subject matter?
Well, I was taking it just like a general rule. What would be the minimum distance?
I don't mean to sound as though I'm saying anything that is to be considered sort of smart, but if you're painting the Grand Canyon, you're going to have to be, and you're concentrating on something that is almost 50 miles away from you, namely the Colorado River at the foot of the canyon. There is no rule.
Well,
there's no rule.
The point I'm trying to make is sometimes if you get real close to an oil painting,
yeah,
it doesn't look as good.
Oh,
you have to stand
I see
back
what you're
from
talking
the painting.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood the question. The magic of oil painting is, and I hate the word magic because it's been overused, but the mystery of it is that painting can be viewed if it's more than 6 feet, or if it is 6 feet, I believe that's too far away.
Yes.
I just believe it's too far away. It of course depends upon the vision of the viewer. There are some people who cannot see anything 6 feet away. They've got to get closer. So I'm not sure that there is such an applicable rule. I'd be perfectly willing to learn about it.
Well, there are so many different art shows now, painting shows on TV, and someone had mentioned that, the Helen Van Wyck. I don't know if have you heard of her?
No.
She's, I guess, in your category. I don't know if that's good or bad.
That's fine.
But she said at least 6 foot.
Okay. She may be.
I just wonder what your opinion was, if there is such a thing.
I would not pay attention to it.
No?
Well, of course, you may have noticed if you watched this show at all that I'm not in for rules. There are very few rules that I'm willing to even abide by. But if she says that is, she must have a well-founded information, which I'm unaware of. And my opinion, of course, would be my own. And I'm glad that you called to ask me. I'm flattered that you wanted my opinion on it.
Oh, thank you very much.
Well, I'm so pleased that you called me.
Okay. Bye-bye
Call again
now.
when you can.
I will.
Fine.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I misunderstood the question. I know that when you view a painting from far away and it looks absolutely acceptable, and you get close and there's nothing but a bunch of blobs, that is what he was talking about. So it's interesting. There are theories about everything under the sun, and there's another one which has flown past me, which is what rules usually do. I usually find myself at a total loss of what to do with rules. So much for the rebel in me. I'm perfectly happy to operate on my own level, and to not to make my own rules, but to certainly abide by the few that I have invented myself. This is an interpretive way of doing this motor. It is not intended to be an ad for Evinrude or Johnson Motors. It is merely a painterly way of trying to interpret what is taking place on that thing. I believe there's a sort of a yellow stripe. I don't know, that probably identifies the maker. I'm not sure, because I'm not really into outboard motors, but all I need to really do is to give you the information that this is an outboard motor that is stuck on a boat, and then we have the ribs of the boat that are paler in color. Do they go that way? No, they go perfectly straight down. Yeah, observation. That is the key to realism in painting. If you observe and interpret, then you have solved half of the problems of painting. To paint without information or without observation, to me, does not work in realist painting. And realist painting is a thing that I have been pushing low these many years. There are some nice details here. There is a rope that is attached to the end of this boat, obviously to some kind of an anchor, and it goes down the side of the boat like so, and ends at the ice. It casts something of a sort of a dim reflection in the ice, because obviously the freeze took place so quickly that it didn't have a chance to freeze at an angle. The wind must have been calm on the night that this harbor froze so stiffly, and therefore the tethering rope to the anchor, or the buoy, or obviously the anchor, is below the ice and going to stay there for a while. I can guarantee one thing, that this boat is going to be there for a while. Presumably we're going to have another set of storms hitting us very soon, and so all of these activities are going to be able to be viewed by anybody who wants to venture down to Shore Road in Setauket and see the ice clamming taking place. Good, another call. Hello there, tell me who you are, please.
Hi, Pat, my name is Elliot.
Yes, Elliot.
How are you?
I'm fine.
That's good. I'm enjoying your show very much.
Oh, good.
Pat, I paint a lot, and I would fashion to say that my style is similar to yours. And,
Great.
And what I'd like to know is what would be the name of this style? If we had to describe it, you called it realism?
Oh, yeah.
It is realism.
Oh, yeah.
Because I have a very good friend who paints what's called photorealism, and his paintings look almost like photographs.
Yes.
But the other question I had for you is, a couple of years ago you had a show over at the studio. I think it was for the Nature Conservancy.
Right.
And I was wondering if there's going to be another one.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we like to plan these things, and it takes a little bit of doing to get them planned ahead of time. But there's certainly a plan afoot to get oh, you mean the Nature Conservancy show of my paintings?
Yes.
Ah. We were going to do it this spring. It has now been put sort of on hold. We're not quite sure when we're going to do it again, but when we do, it'll be announced in plenty of time for anybody who's interested.
Great.
I'm glad. Did you come to it?
Oh, sure.
Oh, wonderful.
As a matter of fact, Pat, there was a painting that you had done of, I think it's the Episcopal Church in St. James.
Right.
And I don't know if you still have it, but we were looking at it that night, and I think you were not satisfied with the way that it had come out, so you were going to work on it.
That sounds familiar.
Do you still have it?
I believe, yes. It's the St. Philip's and James Church. Is that the one? Oh, no.
No, it's the one on the corner of Jericho and Route 111.
I tell you what. I will inform Judy here, our little efficient and ever-loyal secretary that takes care of all the cable easel stuff. I will tell her what that is, and just call up and ask for Judy, and she'll be able to tell you whether I have it or not.
Now, my wife just mentioned it was the Presbyterian Church.
Okay.
I do remember. It's across from the library.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, of course I have it.
Yeah, oh, wonderful. Okay,
Yes.
Maybe it'll be at the show.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate your call.
Very nice speaking with you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
See, isn't that neat? That makes the whole thing just such great fun. The boat, you can't tell where there begins and ends because of the ice, and it's got the ice has got some nice ridges in it and so on. I can tell you one thing: this ice was jolly well slippery this morning. I picked my way across it like an old chicken with rheumatism. I can tell you, I was not about to fall down on this stuff. Of course, Mike just scooted across as if he was that lady who's going to win the Olympics. Yeah, okay, never mind. I better not mention names because it sounds like I'm biased. But anyway, the ice was fun for people who don't care about whether they fall or not, and jolly, absolutely frightening for me, who has no intention of falling again, because I've done that once, and I did not find it particularly amusing. The sled and the tools that are lying on the ice, namely that pickaxe and another screen and another the saw, of course, was a little bit in the foreground, but these are just little items that appear to be absolutely nothing more than sort of patterns on the ice. But Mike was able to get some of these details, and the axe was there with its handle, and then this container in which tools and things go. Namely, I didn't even see a pair of gloves around here. These people are really extremely weatherproof. So this is they come down with the minimum amount of equipment, because you're not going to start schlepping stuff all across the pond. But there are certain things that they need, and one of them. The other one was this strange looking. Oh well, it looks like a piece of a something or other. Okay, another call. It looks like a piece of a trap. Hello there. Tell me your name, please.
Yes, this is Keith from Hopog.
Yes, Keith.
I was wondering what recommendations you can make for like a younger artist trying to get into the field.
Younger artist trying to get into the field. You'd have to be more specific about what his abilities are. Are you the young artist?
Yeah.
Okay. And how young is that?
16.
Oh, great. The field is, of course, to work in the field. I began working for an advertising agency when I was your age, and I was there under fire. I had to produce in order to get my salary. So, are you somebody with a wonderful rendering technique?
Yeah, I guess.
Well, you have to prepare a portfolio. Give me your name again.
Keith Kelly.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Keith, you have to prepare a portfolio. And in that are samples of the work that you do. And they have to be A1, top quality work. It doesn't matter if you've got 1 or 5 or 6. You don't have to have 20. All you need is 2 or 3 very good pieces. And then I would suggest that you contact the advertising agencies in New York and ask for an appointment and take your portfolio in. The only trick that I would tell you is that you have to have professional type of stuff that is immediately visible that you have talent and that you are going to be able to do the job.
Okay.
Breaking into the field in anything means that you've got to prove yourself, as you know, and the advertising business is no different. If you want to be a studio painter, a portrait painter, that is something that I cannot answer. I can only answer and tell you what the possibilities are if you're going to be thinking about advertising.
Yeah, because I take a portfolio development class already.
Good. Be sure. The only thing that I keep stressing over and over, young people come to me all the time, and they say, what will I put in my portfolio? And I say, I don't care what it is as long as it's top quality.
Okay.
Just nothing but the best. That's all we're after. And I sure wish you all the luck in the world. You know very well that the advertising business headquarters is in New York City. And that's where there's very little advertising out here that you would be able to earn a living at, unless you get in touch with a local newspaper, and say that you would like to do some advertising for some of the local businesses on a very small scale, and then you get your training that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Well, thanks for calling.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes. So I'm working on this. I'm trying to make the perspective of this boat mean something. It's not the best. It's much too much of an angle. However, as I say, you take your chances doing something live, and so they don't always work, but it's okay. You get the point. And the distance here with these lovely things taking place, these leafless trees back here, have to kind of tell you the story of. Obviously, the ice tells you that it's winter time, but you also have to tell the story that back here are some deciduous trees that are going to, within a matter of 80 or 85 days, going to be blossoming, and they have little top branches like this back there. There are also a few houses in the distance. I can tell that the houses were in the dead of winter, not just by the ice, but by the wonderful smoke coming out of the chimneys this morning. So there were some people across the bay there with a fire in the fireplace. And we all know that there are oil burners in all these houses, but when you see smoke coming out of a chimney, you know that somebody is enjoying the luxury of a fireplace on a bitter cold morning on the harbor, which is, of course, one of the reasons that people choose this place, because there is almost nothing quite as seductive as living near the water of a beautiful harbor like Setauket Harbor, and then the presence of the innumerable gulls and the Canada geese that were around this morning is another thing that adds to it. I said that I would add some windows on this great big luxury house over here, so we got 4 little black dots there showing you that there are windows in that house. Okay, another call. Hello there, tell me who you are, please.
This is Harold.
Yes, Harold.
Yes. I was watching this, and, you know, you have the clammers and stuff, and on the East End, we used to have, years ago, what we called hall planers.
Which? What did you say?
Hall planers.
Hall planers? What does that mean?
Yeah, and they used to go out in their boats and put nets out and, you know, bring the fish in.
Oh, yes.
And it's something that has been looked down on, and as far as I know, there's only one crew that can work, and that's in East Hampton.
Really?
And they work for the DEC, you know, and they bring fish in. The DEC checks the fish.
Yes.
And then they have to throw the bass back. They have to throw them back.
Yes.
And you know, it's something that's really dying, and I was thought maybe that might be something to really catch.
Well, of course, you know, I saw a piece of a documentary that has been done about the East End baymen. Is that what you're talking about, the baymen, the people who are out there fishing for a living?
Right, yeah.
Well,
but hall fanning is really, that's some, you know, when I was a child, you know, we used to have them all the way from West Hampton to Montauk. You had hall fanners.
Yes.
And now you can't do it. It's illegal.
Uh-huh.
And the only way they can do it is there's one crew that works for the government to bring fish in so they can check them, and then they got to throw them back in.
Astonishing. Well,
and it's something that's dying, and maybe, you know, this is something that should be, you know.
Well, tell me, is it dying because of the pollution or because of the prices?
No, it is dying because of the regulations.
Uh-huh, but are the regulations not made to protect the public?
No, I think they're really doing the regulations to protect the sports fishermen.
Oh. Well, that's a political thing which I'm totally unaware of and probably unable to discuss with you about, but I you know, if there is something that should be done politically or even for the people, you might want to take that on as a project of yours, that you might be able to make a difference.
You know, I think the thing is that this, you know, I thought if you could come out and see this one crew work.
Where do I come?
Huh?
Where do I come? To East Hampton?
East Hampton, yeah.
Yeah. Where specifically in East Hampton?
You'd probably have to check at Town Hall.
Okay.
To see when they would be set up to go out.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
And it's something that, you know, probably once this is done, you'll never see it again.
Yes.
You'll never see it again.
Yeah, I believe you. Well, I'm all for preserving what was, and I'm all for protecting the people. The trouble is that the happy medium is a difficult thing to find.
Yeah.
You know?
But I just thought it'd be nice, you know, if you could get it on a canvas.
Good.
to show.
Well, that's a lovely idea.
What it used to be.
Yes, I'm going to. Judy is on the phones, and I'm sure that she's taking notes about that, and maybe we can in fact arrange to do that. Is it a good time to do it in the spring? Or is it any time?
Most any time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, okay. We'll put that on the agenda. I think it's a very good idea. The company here is continually saying, "Give us some ideas. What would you like to see me do?" And there you've done it.
Well, it's like I say, it's probably something like, in another 5 years, you won't see any. So.
Really? Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we can do something to help.
That sounds good.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye now.
Goodbye. What was his name? Well, Judy's probably got it written down. Anyway, I've got 4 minutes to go, and all I would do is probably to sort of just diddle around with some of these things in the distance and try and improve the figures. But I do want to tell you that when I drove up here yesterday, I came over the Route 81 through Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania was really clobbered with snow, and the visuals coming up here were really quite wonderful. Every barn in Pennsylvania, which of course is not heated, has got 1.5 feet of snow on its roof. There. Have you got that monitor on? Are you seeing that wonderful square cut in the ice? Good. Look, see that? Now you're seeing it firsthand. The pulling up of this basket full of clams that is put on the ice as he comes up, and there's that rectangle cut in the ice. That ice is 8 inches thick, which does not happen that often. And there's the motion of the long pole, which is hard work. Say what you will. Maybe we've been making jokes about the hardiness of it. It is hard work, and it probably does one heck of a job on your shoulders. But that's the little crap game that they're playing out there, trying to find the clams down underneath in that intense mud, with nothing more than a 20-foot pole and a basket on the end of it. While I was there, they found a basket that somebody had apparently lost, and so that was something of a bonus for the morning. They pulled a basket up and said, "Oh, look, we found one." So the experience that I had out here on Setauket Harbor this morning is something that I will remember for a very long time. I hope that the program here enabled you to be in on some of it. The painting may or may not give you a document of what happened out there. I see a few more little places that have got some dumped clams on the side. Those are just little details that break up the general uninterrupted plane of ice, and all of these little dark figures around here tell you that there's some activity and that human beings are doing something out there. Next time you order quahogs on a winter night in a restaurant, remember Mike, John, Jason, and David were out there in the early morning picking up these things for your delectation and delight. I hope to heck that they charged enough to make it worthwhile. These people provide the public with objects that we may take for granted. You may just see clams on the menu and say, "I think I'll just have some clams." Well, from this program on, possibly you will remember that just having some clams means that somebody went out there to get them for you. And with 1 minute left, I guess maybe I'll just tell you that coming up here from Virginia every 4 weeks, which is what I do to come up on the last day. There's your monitor with a bag full of clams inside, and I'm sure that that's how they transport them. And that's obviously a bag that used to have onions in it because there's some sort of a funny little logo on it. But there's a bag of clams that came out of the icy waters of Setauket Harbor this morning, January the 25th, and hopefully immortalized on this canvas that I did while I talked to you about this event and this place and the fact that we live in a really remarkable area here, Long Island, unique in the world, I might add, and I hope that you enjoyed it. I certainly was blown away by my experience this morning, and please tune in whenever you can. I'm on the air 4 times a week, and it's always been great fun for me. I hope it was for you. Bye-bye.